Welcome back to another episode of Technology for Independence with Christopher Cooley. Today, Christopher is going to be talking with Dylan Timberlake. Dylan is a student with the STEM Academy in Portsmouth, Ohio, who is also a candidate for Miss River Days. She is hard of hearing and considered legally deaf. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Technology for Independence with Christopher Cooley. Today, Christopher is going to be talking with a lady that is a junior in high school at the Portsmouth STEM Academy, as well as being a candidate for the Miss River Days pageant. Chris, always a pleasure talking with you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Patrick. Portsmouth, Ohio has River Days every Labor Day weekend. And, they have so many activities going on. And the one cool thing that they have going on that they always have is queens in their parade. And these ladies get to have the opportunity to run, to be Miss River Days every year. And Dylan is working hard on getting that position, being able to be on stage and show her ability. A lot of people today look at disabilities. We want to show the abilities and not the disabilities. We want to allow individuals to know, no matter what their disability is, they have the ability to do what they want to do and be able to become a queen in our parade, become a queen in our high schools. And Dylan, I'm so proud of you, and I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about how to become a queen here in Portsmouth.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dylan Timberlake. I am Miss STEM Academy 2024, and I am running in the Miss River Days pageant, which is an annual pageant that we've had for 60 plus years. To become this, you have to get elected by your school class, or it depends. Different schools do it differently. Some kids do student votes. Some people do interview to get this position. And once you have the position, you are set off of a journey for the summer and going to many events, giving yourself a platform to raise awareness on something that is so near and dear to your heart. And then you go into the pageant and you get interviewed about your platform and different things like that. And there's different phases of competition, interview, there's fitness, on stage question, evening gown, and then lastly, there's crowning. It's very intimidating, but I believe I'm up for the job.
So you are considered deaf, hard of hearing. I'm curious, in the pageant, do you need to have an interpreter there also?
So when I was younger, I was actually an early talker. They didn't know I had hearing loss, and I was never taught an American Sign Language at an early age, which I am still continuing to learn now that I'm older. But I read lips. That's how I communicate. I also do use some sort of hearing aid device that I might use for the pageant if I deem it necessary.
Now, it's my understanding that you are considered legally deaf, but you're really hard of hearing. Is that correct?
Yeah. Some people deem it as kind of confusing, and I wanted to make sure that I'm representing this community in the most positive light that I can and make sure that I don't upset anybody. I do consider myself both. It just depends on how you perceive me, really. I'm completely deaf in my left ear, and I have about 50% of hearing in my right. For the most part, I don't have a lot of my hearing, but that doesn't stop me, and I can still somewhat hear, but I prefer to read lips.
Do you have an interpreter on stage with you when you go to the Miss pageant?
No, actually, ASL again is not my first language per se. I do read lips, and as you can see, I can talk. Doesn't mean that it was not hard for me to get to this point. I did take many years in speech therapy to be able to talk correctly, and I want to kind of utilize that of people put this in this bubble that like all deaf people use an interpreter, and actually it's not always the case. Our community is very widespread of like what we need, and our needs and accommodations look different for whoever you are.
So what made you want to become a pageant queen?
When I first did River Days in their Little Miss pageant in 2009. I was Wee Miss River Days in 2009, so I won when I was little. As I got older, I noticed that there wasn't a lot of representation for people with my disability in the mainstream media, and I want to be that representation for somebody else.
So do you think that the media is going to come out and interview you and give you the opportunity to be a light in our community?
I really hope so, especially with my community event that will be going on throughout June. My community service project, I'll be at all different branches of the library, and I plan to somehow get a hold of WSAD and have them interview me and have a segment on the news.
You're a student with the STEM Academy in Portsmouth. What is STEM?
Portsmouth STEM Academy, and STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. STEM has those as our main curriculum, and we teach all sorts of different things like that. It's more hands-on. The best way I can describe it is we do a lot of hands-on projects to learn rather than typical paperwork. We visualize things and we build things and we do all these different things. Like I didn't know how to use a drill until I came here and I was taught, which is a fun fact that I like to tell everybody about. STEM, it's a very unique school. We're different, but I think we're different in a good way.
Some of the projects that you do, one of them is using a drill, but what are some other projects you've been involved with?
The biggest example I can use is our annual haunted house. We call it Fright Night. And we build this insane haunted house that goes throughout our whole school. We do a lot of carpentry work. We drill things into the wall. We hang things up. And it's a really good way to put our engineering skills to the test of like, okay, how we want to build this, but how can we make it? And we come up with a game plan, and we get to be able to experiment with different things and make sure that we're doing things right. And it gives you a lot of chance to explore.
We know that your interests are going to be possibly going to college or furthering your education through vocational school. I'm just curious, what direction are you leaning towards?
So I plan on getting my undergraduate degree at Shawnee State in engineering, actually, computer science engineering. And I plan on going to attend law school and working for the ACLU.
Do you feel that STEM is such a better school atmosphere than a regular high school?
Well, for me, yes, but I know everyone's perceptions and everyone's experiences are different. Public school personally did not work out in my favor, but when I came here at STEM, I felt so at home, and it was such a safe environment for me. For me, STEM gives me a lot more opportunities than I think a public school has, and it's so convenient, especially in the location of where we're at. I'm right down the street from Shawnee State University, where I take College Credit Plus classes, and I get a head jump start on my future career. But STEM is just so different, but I know if some people came here, they might not like it. It just depends on your preference.
How does your mom and dad think about you being part of the pageant? Do they support you all the way, or how do they feel about that?
My mom and dad are like my biggest supporters throughout this whole journey. My mom is just so helpful. She's been looking forward. I feel like she's been looking forward to this the day that I was born. Like she's just been so excited. And it was a rough road to get where I'm at, but it's very rewarding. And I have the best parents and the best support team behind me.
What is going to be your theme this year? Catching people's eyes, the dress, or being part of the community. What is the theme to get into this pageant? What do you think that's going to make you stronger enough to be able to, the community think, we want her. I
think that a lot that kind of separates me is that not only do I have a disability, but I don't make my disability get in the way of what I can do and what I cannot do. I think I'm unique and different. I'm just the same as anybody else. I think the biggest part that I think and know that I'm gonna need to crush is my interview, because that's where I get one-on-one with the judges. Those judges basically hold my fate in this whole pageant, and I want to impress them, and I think that I will. I think I got it in the bag. I know what I'm going to talk about. I have things to talk about, and I want to make sure that I represent Portsmouth River Dates in such a positive light and also represent myself in a positive light. She's so sweet. She's so simple. We want her. Along with this, I want to say I think any of the girls are deserving of this, but I do think the one thing that separates me is that I do have a disability, but I am using it. Something that was a disadvantage my whole life, I now for once see it kind of as an advantage.
If the community wanted to come and watch you go through this journey, how would they be able to come and cheer you on and help you through this journey?
Watching my page on Facebook under Miss Dim Academy 2024, and over there I post whatever raffles, whatever fundraisers I'm doing. I do random facts about being deaf and hard of hearing. I do a thing called Science on Saturday where I go live every single Saturday and I spread awareness about being deaf and just tell them like fun facts and be able to have conversations and have a good laugh about some of my experiences and some other people's experiences and be able to really have conversational questions about people's questions about me and about my hearing.
This program is about technology, whether it's high tech or low tech. What are some pieces of equipment that you have used that assist you?
Something that helped me is a thing called an FM system, and these were kind of more invented in like the 70s-ish. It's this pack. It has a headphone in it. I put the headphone in my ear, and then my teacher has another pack that is connected to it so that I am able to sit wherever I freely want to in the class and still be able to hear my teacher or whoever is talking to me.
Yeah, there's an FM system where that you hook it to your belt and put it in your ear and be able to hear the whole conversation from the teacher. It's a great tool. I, in the past, have used those. I've used it in college and it's been wonderful. And some conferences, I've used those too. I mean, conferences. Nowadays, you don't really see them very often, but it's a great way to be able to hear and cut out all the other noises and be able to understand the speaker.
Are there any apps on the iPhone, that might be of help for someone that has a hard of hearing situation?
Chris could probably answer this one better than I can, really. I will say something funny that has been helpful is the Notes app on my phone. If I'm in a loud environment and someone's trying to talk to me, I'll have them write it down on my phone on my notes, and I'm able to pick the phone back and forth and respond to them because they might be able to hear me, but I cannot hear myself. So it's very hard for me to communicate.
Are there any other devices that have assisted you?
The only ones I really used like my entire life is the FM system. I use different variations of it. I use one that looks like a hearing aid and it's like a different model. I used the pack, which is what I currently use now. But those are like the only really devices I've used my entire life.
Do you have any trouble with Alexa or Google understanding you when you ask them a question?
Yes, it happens all the time, especially with like Siri on your phone, especially when I'm having there's some days where it's just like kind of difficult for me to talk and I keep like mixing up my words and my speech is just really bad that day. Especially when I was younger, when I was trying to tell people things, like I couldn't say my S's or my R's or my T's. So it was just kind of like mumbled together. So that did result in Siri sometimes having trouble understanding me and I kept having to repeat myself until I get it right.
So will you use the FM system when you go in to your interviews, just allow them to see and feel what it's like for you to hear and understand them?
Yes, I do plan on using it for interview, just so I'm able to hear the judges clearly. Going in an interview, I don't really know what the setup's going to be like, and I just rather be prepared and make sure that I understand everybody.
So what is the biggest goal now for you to get to that point?
My biggest goal now is to utilize my social media and to utilize my platforms as I have them, making sure that like when the judges go and if they see my social media, they can see what all I'm doing and making sure that I'm utilizing my platform that I have. And obviously my platform, Okay Hear Me Out, gives opportunities for the younger generation of kids with hearing loss to learn about ASL and deaf culture. as I was not given that representation when I was younger. And I want them to be able to see all my work and things that I do at the local libraries and my science on Saturdays. I want them to be able to see that and be like, whoa, like this is different. This is cool.
Suppose you were selected queen. What does a queen do for a year?
A Riverdale queen, she travels all throughout Ohio in different parades and gets to go to different counties and different places all throughout the state and gets to meet other reigning queens there and go to lunch and be in their parade. If I was selected as the Riverdale queen at this moment in time, the first thing I would do is how can I help and bring awareness to my community? How can I help my community? How can I bring people to Portsmouth to come to our parade? I'll be representing Riverdale as a community, I guess. I want them to become, I want other places when I go there to see how unique Portsmouth is and to come to our parade and be in our parade and just have fun and have a jolly old time.
Many of us have seen the movie Miss Congeniality, in which the person, one of the people indicated that it was a scholarship program. Is there a scholarship program involved with Miss Riverday's?
So Riverdale is technically, I don't think it's considered a scholarship program like the Miss America organization or the Miss USA organization, but they do give away scholarships that people will come in and give like different requirements for, and they will choose like a person to receive that scholarship. I think there's different awards. I don't know how it's going to work this year. It's kind of different every year depending on who signs up for like to sponsor a scholarship. That's just kind of how these things work. It's just different every year.
Individuals are not only go through various different routines, questions asked, but they also have a specific activity that they do.
So for my community service project, I plan on going to all different branches of our local libraries in Berg, South Webster, Portsmouth, and I'm going to read them the book, All the Ways I Can Hear You. It's a children's book, and it shows all these. The one thing that stays consistent is that they all have hearing loss, but they all utilize and do different things to communicate. One person reads lips, one person has ASL, one person talks. Like it's so variety different, and I think it will really like get in the children's head that we're all the same, but we are also all so different in our own way and how we need accommodations and need. I also plan to teach them some ASL and have an interpreter there to interpret what I'm saying so people can see what sign language looks like while I talk. I also plan on coloring with little kids, and I plan on somehow utilizing those coloring sheets they color that are ASL themed coloring sheets and somehow incorporating them into my float. Not sure how I'm going to do that yet, but I will find a way.
What would be your talent during the pageant?
So Riverdale actually doesn't have a talent portion. Starts off with interview and then opening number, your introduction, fitness, evening gown, on-stage question, and there's just so many different things that they do instead. There was one point in time where we didn't even have platforms. There was one point in time where they took a lot of things out and added a lot of things in throughout the years. But I hope to see someday we do have talent. I think that would be pretty neat.
So do you think they might consider having an interpreter when you come on stage announcing you as a winner?
There is certain things that I'm going to have discussions with the Riverdale directors about. That includes like, I know it's very loud in there. What if I don't hear my name kind of situation? I think I plan on I would be fine with having an interpreter. I would be fine with them saying, can we have everyone stay silent until we fully announce a winner? Just so that the clapping and the cheering and stuff doesn't hear myself get called.
Just a couple minutes left. What are a few things that you can tell other individuals, whether they're hard of hearing or they have another disability? What are some things you would like to mention from your experience that will help them?
I would say don't be insecure about getting the help you need. I will say it for what it is. I was afraid and scared to wear a FM system. I didn't want to be seen differently until I put myself in the level that we're all the same and I'm just no different from anybody else. I just have different accommodations and needs that need to be met. If you find yourself in a situation that is, you find yourself kind of insecure about it, I want you to look at all of these people. I want you to research all these people who have made it big and they have had the same disability as you, because I bet you there is a ton. And if there isn't, be the first.
What's one thing that you would encourage folks to look into Portsmouth STEM?
One positive, like from STEM Academy, one positive thing that comes from here is that we're all family. It don't matter what point in time, we do many activities together. We're just all one big family. And I think that's what separates us like differently.
How many students are in STEM?
Oh my goodness. We've grown since I've been here about like 250. That includes kindergarten to high school. I know it sounds like pretty small, but hey, it used to be even smaller. I used to have 8 people in my class and now I have like 12, 15-ish.
So you went through STEM since kindergarten?
No, I moved to STEM when I was in the end of my 6th grade year is when I moved.
And what led you to feel that was the direction you wanted to go?
That was sort of the direction that I wanted to go when I felt like I needed a new environment. Like the environment I was in just wasn't working for me. And my mom's like, how would you feel about if you went to STEM? And I was like, what's STEM? Why would I want to go there? And I looked into it and I saw how unique and different it is and how hands-on it is. And I'm a very visual person, so I'm able to work out my stuff visually, and they are so accommodating to everything we'll need. If I need things repeated, if I need to take a pause and turn my microphone up, it's the best. I can't express how grateful I am for this school. And I'm so proud to be representing it in the Portsmouth River Days pageant.
We're talking with Dylan Timberlake, a candidate of the Miss River Days pageant. Chris, always a pleasure talking with you on Technology for Independence.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you, Dylan, for all that information and encouraging others to be who they are.